Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar series. And in this session, we are going to be looking at the PTO and accrual features that Clockit offers. We look at the admin side of things, as well as how employees can use these features both on the desktop as well as the mobile devices. Additionally, I will also speak about the notifications that we have and how they can be set up so that every time an employee requests for PTO, you get notified via email as well as notifications. So let's jump right in. And when you log in into your Clockit account, you see the admin dashboard as an admin, obviously. And what you do is you can set up your PTO rules so that you can give your employees balances to start off with. Now, I do understand that a lot of you may be coming from either spreadsheets or paper trails, or you may be also coming from another tool. And for that purpose, we also have options to manage the PTO in a way that you can bring your previous balances into Clockit. And I will show you that as well. So in your admin account, the way you set up your PTO and accruals is we have this option called Leave PTO and Accrual Setup. I click on that, and then what I can do is I can add new. And let's say I'm looking to set up a sick leave which is of 10 days for the year. So I can simply type in the details, let's say sick day, and I'm going to give a description. I'm going to leave it the same for this case. It's going to be a sick day, and you can set both days and hours, but in this case I'm going to go with days, and I give it a short name like SD so that it's easy for employees to communicate this. I can have the option to make file attachments necessary. For example, in some countries you do require a medical certificate to apply for a PTO, so these are the options for those. Visibility is if you would like to show a leave balance to your employees. There are cases where you do not want to show a balance. Let me very quickly touch on this. And this is going to be when you would like to have a PTO type, which you do not want to show it to them at all. There are good use cases for this. For example, I had a company come to me and ask me, can we have a certain number of days or hours that can be tracked? If the employee does not take their lunch break, they leave early for the day. So in that case, yes. So you have a PTO type which is do not show the balance, and you can allow negative leave balance as well, so that when they apply for that PTO, it does not show up as balances anywhere on the platform, but you still have a record of every time they take this PTO type. Then comes the leave type to be applied only during this current year or this current period for the accrual, which means that the accrual can be it can be monthly, it can be for the entire year, but either from January to December or any month duration that you may have, or typically if the employee joins in March, from March to March next year, or April to April next year. That's what this means, the duration. The reason for unapproval, in case you would like to document the reason for unapproval, you can check this. And this is what I was speaking about earlier, allow negative leave balance. For this type, I'm not going to allow that. This typically means that they can apply for the PTO only when they have a sufficient balance. For example, let's say if a user tries to apply for a sick PTO, which accrues monthly, and they get 1 day per month, then the accrual period is going to be, the negative leave balance wouldn't allow them to take that days unless they have it. So in January, they can apply for 1 day. In February, they can apply for 2 days, and so on. If you would like to allow the employee to apply for the PTO, irrespective of if they have the balance or not, meaning that it accrues over time as time goes on, then you can allow the negative leave balance. But in this case, I'm going to keep it as off. And the accrual period is how often you would like to give your employees the PTO. So for example, if I do a monthly and I have set it as 12 days for simplicity, that means I get 1 day every month. If I set it, for example, annually, then that means at the start of the year or the end of the year or during the work anniversary is when I get my PTO balance topped up. So let me just do monthly, and I can't say when I want the start year to be. So does it start accruing from this year, last year, or whichever year that you want to specify? I'll give it as this year. And the next option is you have the option to hand out more days or hours based on the experience that the employee has. So always you have to set a 0 years, which is the baseline, and I can say this is going to be 12 days, and the max is also going to be 12 days. So what this means is you're going to hand out 12 days, and that's going to come at 1 day per month for this user, and I can save this. The max PTO, what it means is the maximum that I'm allowed to hold of that PTO type. Now, this is useful when you have the option as you set up, let's say, carry forward to limited or unlimited carry forward. How much is the maximum that you want the user to hold? So let's say you would like to give the user 24 as the maximum, which means they can accrue up to 2 years worth of PTO maximum and have it saved on the account. Anything over and above that, they're going to lose it. It's a good way to encourage your employees to take their PTO when needed and not accumulate it indefinitely. So for this example, let me do a 24, and you need to click on the add button, and this is what shows up. The weight, you can leave it as default of 1. What this means is if a PTO is applied for any given date, this is the multiplier. So there are some countries where the HRs and the admins don't want the employees to take an extended leave during the weekends and make it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so on. So if you take a PTO on Friday, then they deduct 2 times or 1.5 times. But by default, 1 is the good way to go. You can set up the accruals at either the beginning or it can be at the end. The beginning means in this case the beginning of the month, or is it going to be the end of the month? Take special care when you set this up for annually, because if you do annually at the end, that means for the entire year they're not going to have their balance. So typically you need to start at the beginning, and that's most cases your PTO will be handed out at the beginning. Then comes the carry forward rules. You can set up a 0 rollover, a limited, or unlimited. They are self-explanatory. 0 rollover means use it or lose it. Limited can be set up as maximum you can carry forward 5, 10, or what have you. And unlimited means any balance that is there on the previous accrual period, which can be the 12-month period, everything gets carried forward. In this case, I'm going to do 0. And the rollover timing, this is where you set if it's a calendar year or a work anniversary. And I'm going to set this up as calendar year, January to December. And then we have the probation period is the number of days before which the accrual starts. Typically, if an employee has just joined the organization, then you have a 30-day cool-off period before which they can start, before which the accruals itself starts. Before I save this, I can go to the drop-down at top, and I can simulate what this PTO looks like for any given user. And the graph shows you how many days are handed out on a monthly basis. And once I'm sure of the PTO, I can just go ahead and save this. Let me call this 6-day demo so that it shows up correctly on the profile. And I go ahead and save this. Now, every user that belongs to the sick day demo, let me just show you that. It's gone to the second page. The sick day demo, and these are the groups of users that have access to this PTO. Belong to that group, then you can use that PTO. So I'm going to come into my vacation leaves now, and I should be able to see sick day demo in the list. And just give me 1 second. Sorry, I do not belong to that group, and that's the reason that it did not show. I'll load up another employee profile. Let's look at the vacation and leaves. And there we go, sick day demo, and it's 9 days because we are in the month of September, so that many days has been handed out to the user. Now, if I click on the 9 days, I can even see the total breakdown of the accruals that have accumulated over the months, and hence they have the balance. Now, the way an employee would apply for a PTO is they simply come into their profile, they go into vacation and leaves, and then they can select the PTO type that was created or the ones that you have already created. You can specify from which days they would like to apply for the PTO, and they can give a reason for the PTO, or you can even create these custom forms which come in very handy. And then they simply click on apply. Now, once they apply, the request goes to the reporting manager for them to for them to approve the PTO. And on my device, I do get the notifications from the Clockit app as well as via email. In both cases, I can use the email or use the mobile app to approve the PTO. The similar features are available on the mobile app as well. So let me just quickly log in into the Clockit app. There we go, just putting in the username, password. And I have logged in now. Perfect. Let me just grab the screen so that I can show it to you as well what it looks like. Now, I'm the admin on the account, and it's an employee that reports to me that has applied for the PTO, and I can see the team leave or PTO request on the screen, and from this very screen I can go ahead and approve it or unapprove the request. Similarly, I do have the option to even apply for PTO and check my balances. So I have the my leave balance section where I can see all the PTO balances of mine, and also from the my leave section I have the option to apply for the PTO, and the form is just the same. You enter the dates, the from and to dates, you give your comments in, and then you can apply for the PTO. So I hope this webinar session was useful to you. It's all about getting ready around the holiday season and have all your PTO balances up to date. The platform is completely self-serve, and it helps to remove a lot of complexities that's revolves around who do I send the PTO request to? How do I get this approved? What are my leave balances? So you don't need to maintain a spreadsheet, but rather if you use a platform like Clockit, it makes the entire process very seamless. Also, in our reporting, we account for the PTO and vacation days in the final payroll report, which will be covered in another webinar session. So I hope this webinar was useful. Go ahead and ask me all the questions that you may have. You can even sign up for the trial on the account, or if you're an existing user, you can just go ahead and use the platform. Our support team is always available on the account at the bottom right. You can reach out to us. So that's all for now. My name is Basil. I'm the founder with Clockit, and we help companies do payroll in 5 minutes.